here is your car and here is your track, and this is why I'm going to spend 20 minutes ripping off Aiden, because I'm mad. I've had some bad races like this.
Not crashing.
Yep, that's me.
Like, you got to manifest that so other people don't crash in. You. I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive, I'm alive.
So I'm gonna do what actually smart people do when they're in the situation. Okay, rolling start. I'm P2. The yellow and black car is P1. That's Matthew Graham. And in P3, this is the dirty, shameless, smurfing bastard Josh Ladd. Sebring winner, and what a happy coincidence. Almost exactly 1 year ago today, this is the last time this top four all raced together, all on the same track. And I only just realized whilst editing this, so I had to include this clip.
This is the kind of battling, Andrew, that's going to bring Ross Deal into this one and truly make this a five-way battle for the lead. In fact, this is the kind of thing that you want to see if you're James de Havilland and Sam Sanders as well in the background, still side by side for the lead of the race through this left-hander at Redmond. And they're still going to be side by side, or can Mackenzie Freeman just get across and close the door? No, he can't. It's still side by side with Josh Ladd as they head towards the last couple of corners on this lap. This is a fantastic exchange. Round the outside is Mackenzie Freeman. He still can't say that the move is done, though, as they come around to complete this lap.
Now, before Sim Racing Stewards gets involved, I know that I'm blamed for most of this, but it was a good battle, and in hindsight, kind of foreshadowing.
He'll be able to squeeze out Mackenzie Freeman onto the apex, and they almost touch there as they head towards turn 2. They're still side by side, and there's contact. And there's bigger contact behind as well. George Pelosi.
Anyway, that's enough messing around. Here is the actual race. So I'm starting in P2. I was honestly quite surprised by Graham's lap time. I really don't think I have his pace, but I'm going to try and hold on. And Josh managed to disconnect just before qualifying and only got one lap in, so I know he's got a bit of pace on me, but like, it's raining, anything can happen, and it's PCC, so I was just hoping if I can stick with them for the start, then we can have a battle. And that's what happened. Kinda. We're coming on to lap 2, you can see we're already hitting traffic, and the leaders are super aggressive at getting through them. It's really, really good. I think I'm maybe a bit too cautious. As you can see, as I get around this Renault Clio here, give loads of space, maybe too much space, but we want to live. But a gap starts to form, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem for me, but let's see how it materializes in the next lap. So coming on to the next lap, and this BMW comes flying past us, and I remember thinking at the time, hey, why is he on the same lap as us? Is he bad? Did he start from the pits? I don't know. So coming into turn 1, it's a big, what do they call it? Constellation? A big boom. As I'm thinking that, Toyota up my inside. He caught himself on the paint, outbrakes himself, completely blows the corner, and further builds the gap between us and the leaders. So we're coming down towards turn 4, and Matthew's about to put another car between him and Josh. If he can clear these two Toyotas before turn 6, then he's probably winning this race. But unfortunately for Matthew, the BMW driver has different ideas. And his ideas are very few and far between. Yep, clears the pack and then proceeds to spin all on his own, collecting 1, 2, 3 leaders. So how did we do in all of this? Well, we kind of noped out of it as soon as possible. As soon as I saw cars collecting on the inside and the slow reveal of a beautifully parked BMW M4, I went straight for the runoff, giving myself a very unfair slowdown and increasing the gap. So not much happens for the next couple of laps. We just spend it slowly closing down the gap until I see on my relative
the beautiful sight of two atoms. I mean Renault Clios. Silence, which I know will slow him down.
And even with a couple slides,
hold it,
we've caught right back up. And that's when the Smurf behavior begins. Now, if you don't know what a Smurf is, I can explain it really simply. A Smurf is someone who creates a second account, pays for an additional membership, and repurchases all the cars and tracks, potentially spending hundreds, just so they can not give a fuck. So for the rest of this race, I'm going to do what I'm calling a Smurf counter, which is moves that this person wouldn't have done on their main. And at the end of the race, we can tally it up, and I'm also going to give some reasons why you might want to have a Smurf account. So it's lap 7, we've got about 10 minutes to go, and I can see by his car placement that he's really keen to get past the Clios, but that's perfect for me because I can set up a switchback like this. And then we get 2 car contacts, which really set the tone for the rest of the race.
Don't be killing each other, come on.
But whatever, we're finally ahead, we're in the lead, and it's our turn to have a go at the Renault Clios, because if we can get by, then maybe we can win. And we're nice and close, and I'm pretty confident I can make a move into the next corner when we get our first send. And it's a good send, and he makes it stick, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have to turn out of this one to avoid a crash. But it's fine, we just use an alternate line and make it work around the outside of the next corner. And I think what's really clear from watching this little sequence of battles is that I have to race him completely different to how he can race me. Another send right up the inside, and here's the slowest switchback you'll ever see, maybe 40 kilometers per hour, and we're back on his outside again. I'm constantly having to drive around him when he's definitely not driving around me. But it's fun, it's really fun, it's a good test. And I don't want to come across like I don't like racing. I do like racing, this is great racing. But how can we have truly great racing if I'm the only one who cares if we finish? So we're on to lap 8 and time is running out. I have a game plan in my head for how I'm going to win this race. Interlagos has this super long start-finish straight, but between the conditions and me knowing about his aero damage, I know he can't draft past me on the final lap to take the win. All I have to do is make sure I'm ahead at every possible opportunity. So I kick things off by doing a big drift and losing the lead. We get a little bit of help from
Adams.
into the next corner. He obviously has his own race to run. We get pushed out a little bit wide through turn 4 and 5, but that's fine because we got the inside for 6 and 7. Braking a little bit early just to avoid running onto the rubber and get a good exit. Now we can hold him on the outside for turn 8, and that gives us the wet line for the very long turn 9. Honestly, lap 8 gave me a lot of confidence that I had the upper hand. And despite Josh's brilliant pass into this final corner, I knew we could win. We just had to get past Adams. Lap 9, we take the outside this time. He goes super defensive, but that sends him deep, and we can get a cut back into turn 2 and 3. With lots of momentum, we make our way around the outside of turn 3. We have lots of momentum and an overlap, but I can see the door closing. Contact here could send us both into the wall, so I straighten up the wheel.
Oh, that's a dangerous place out there, fella.
I guess I'm kind of cheating, but because I was shown wide, I see it as fair, so I take the place. Go to the inside and defend. He wants to use his momentum to get a cutback, but I just drive in the middle of the road and get a bump. He tries to outbrake me into turn 6 sweeper. I have to release my brakes, but it actually puts me on a better line to make an overtake. The Clio defends for no reason, but we make it through. Unfortunately for me, Josh also bundles his way through, but now we're both free. Now there's only 3 minutes to go as we head on to lap 10, but before we even get there, we're forced wide onto the paint, keep my foot in it, and we go around the outside. I'm feeling confident I can defend from any position on this lap, but I end up getting played a little bit. We swing it around the outside on the wet line for turn 1, and then on turn 3, we've got a little bit less momentum, but we can just throw up a block. He tricks me with some bump drafting down towards 4, and then pulls out. I don't think I was ever really making this corner, but it turned out I never really had a choice anyway. I fake for a move into 6, but as we did before on the Clio, we're just changing the shape of this corner so we can go for an overtake. He defends it really well and puts us onto the curb, stopping our rotation and the overtake. So running out of time, I fake him into a narrow line and try my favorite cutback. Once again, I find myself on the wet line for the long sweeper, This is where I want to be because I want the outside line for the final corner. But as I'm setting up for the exit, I see a door heading straight for me and I have to take to the paint. I can't brake on the paint, but I try to anyway. I find grip and I make the overtake.
Mate, I'm all good just watching this drift competition.
Now there's 2 laps to go in the race, but spoiler, this is my last one in the fight. I made a mistake and gave him the inside into turn 1, so I tried and squeeze a little bit, but he gets it stopped and parks it on the apex, stopping me from getting the cut back. I have a bit of a clumsy line through 2, but he does a big drift and gives me another chance around the outside of 3.
Between me and P2, I'm quite happy sat here.
You know what I'm going to say, it's wet, I'm being pushed onto the paint again, it's fine. We're thinking ahead to turn 4, so I go to the inside to defend it. I want to park it on the apex and not let him push me off again. Of course this doesn't work because I go in a bit too deep and I'm on the outside again and contact. But we're keeping that overlap and we know how to hold it on the inside through here. Great momentum off the corner and commit to taking a wide line through 8. Josh was always going to dive up the inside, but we know from experience that you can't get it rotated on the curve very well. One annoying kick of oversteer, but I know I'm winning the race to turn 10. Now I have the wet line and I'm safe until the final lap.
We've been called into the pits by the stewards for repairs.
Well, yeah, that didn't really go to plan, huh? All I can say is hindsight's 20/20 and probably next time I wouldn't stay on the throttle for about 10 seconds after being hit sideways onto a wet curb. But that was my mistake and his mistake was taking me out and I'm sure he didn't mean to, but that's what happened. And after a battle like that, I might have expected a sorry or him waiting, but I know what to expect from a Smurf and that's not it. So he continued his race, he won, and then disconnected.
Aw, I've got not to watch now.
Okay, I got so carried away with editing this, I've made it way more serious than it actually is. I don't hate Josh, and I've met him in real life, he seems super nice or whatever. I just think the Smurf thing is really lame. I think it's cheating, I think it brings the softs down, and I just feel like it creates a dynamic that's not fun. It's not fun and it's not sport. And we're trying to emulate motorsport, and you get these guys in real life motorsport, you know, Stroll or whatever, who have the money and don't care, but they're boring and we hate them, right? We don't praise Stroll for being Stroll, so we shouldn't praise Smurfing behavior, in my opinion. But that's, you know, don't take my word for it. Here's Oleg.
Making a video about Smurfs, is there anything you want to say? Smurfs are good.
Are you for real?
Okay, well, Oleg doesn't agree, but you know what? There are some good reasons, right? So what are those good reasons? People create Smurf accounts when they get to super high I ratings because high I ratings are hard to gain and really easy to lose, especially in a series that you're not familiar with. And if you want to use that main account as a currency to get into a, you know, an eSports team or turn your racing into some kind of career, you probably want to protect that main account. But if you're making a Smurf account, you are admitting that you care a lot about your I rating, enough to spend more of your own money on a product that you already own. So if you are on your second account and you're racing around, please extend the same respect that you would hope for if you were driving on your main account. And the last thing that I'll say, and this is definitely not directed at Josh, but if you spend more time on that 3.2k account than your 7k account, I hate to break it to you, but you are 3k. You just are.
Come on. We want a show.
But anyway, them's the rules. That's my video. I'm bored of editing this. It took way too long, but I might make more in the future, so subscribe, like, all of that, share along, whatever. And if you've got any topics that you think would be interesting to cover in iRacing or sim racing in general, let me know in the comments and I'll get to it. Okay, bye.